This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on COVID-19 updates with focus on MGNREGA scheme. The participants are Sandeep Das, Rural Development Expert, and AIR Special Correspondent Mattu JP Singh.
Under the economic measures as part of Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign for the MGNREGA scheme, additional 40,000 crore rupees have been allotted for employment generation in rural parts of the country. As per the scheme, it will help to generate nearly 300 crore person days to provide relief to the migrant workers. Sandeep ji, we see that now more than 40 lakh migrant workers have returned to their home states. How is this going to impact the working of MGNREGA scheme?
MGNREGA has been always a scheme which is in the rural areas to provide families with the gainful employment. Off-season means during non-agricultural seasons when Kharif and Rabi activities are not done during that period of time. This is a gap arrangement government has that about 150 days of work is provided to families, manual work under the NREGA. Now for the COVID-19 dealing with, government has announced the package. They have announced 40,000 crore additional allocation under MGNREGA. And along with that, budgeted figure is about 61,000 crore rupees. So that means almost like additional allocation will ensure that those people who have migrated from bigger cities to their home state, UP, Bihar and other states, they will have something to fall back upon. And essentially this comes as a time when we are preparing for the Kharif crop and we are preparing the field and Kharif crop, and MGNREGA also envisages that 60% of work under NREGA is with the agriculture and allied sector. So that means at this point of time, those people who have gone back home, the lockdown was announced in March 24th, and this is the time states are scaling up MGNREGA and they provide the vital employment. That means the people who are going back, who are short on cash, this will provide a life-saving, I should say, opportunity to earn livelihood at this critical point of time. Additional allocation, which will allow use of NREGA for dealing with the migrant labor.
Just spoke about the states, and if we look at different states, we see that some states are doing very well in terms of providing employment, and most of the workers who return home have been given work under the scheme, and the wages are being deposited directly into the beneficiaries' accounts on the basis of weekly muster rolls. Yeah. What role do you see for the Gram panchayats in looking after the demands of the local community and providing employment-oriented works?
That is where most of the state has to make some arrangement, because currently, generally all over the country, that there is a little bit of shortages of personnel at the ground level, because every work under NREGA has to be assessed, has to be approved by the junior engineer with the head of the panchayat. Now what has happened, the workload of panchayats has increased, and that has to be taken into account. So that has to be some kind of support from the state government in terms of providing panchayats with some kind of personal support so that works are approved quickly. This is the point of time very crisis situation. People have gone back home, they need job immediately. Job to start, they need to have a work note, the kind of work to be taken up. NREGA generally envisages to work related to water conservation, to agriculture allied sector. Most of the work are related to that. About 261 type of work has been approved. Out of that, 164 kind of work related to agriculture. Panchayat has to step up the manpower as well as the handholding support they need from the government, because they need to quickly do that, quickly create jobs, quickly create work so that this migrant labor can be employed for the time being.
And Centre has been asking states and the union territories to, proactively implement the scheme related to employment generation, rural housing and infrastructure developments. But as we see, the coming home of migrant workers will also in a way affect the existing workers in the states itself. How are the different states going to do the balancing act?
That is a very challenging task. If you look at our labor migration, just related fact, if you look at this railways provision transporting labor to their home state, you find that a major chunk of people are coming back to the state like UP, Bihar, Orissa and Bengal, to large chunk of them. I'm not saying that all of them, but most of them. So this also creates a lot of pressure on the state government to act fast. If you remember, recently also Uttar Pradesh government has also set up a labor commission to look into how they can employ this labor quickly. And this also definitely put pressure on the existing labor in the state. But as I said earlier, MGNREGA is not a permanent job generator. It doesn't engage labor permanently for the entire year. It only talks about 100 days work, 150 days work, something like that. So this is a temporary stopgap arrangement for the time being. And this comes at a time, as I said earlier, this comes at a time we are preparing our land and for Kharif sowing. So this is an ample opportunity for the state, use this particular opportunity to create asset at the ground level, durable assets, mostly related to agricultural sectors like farm ponds, well, earth check dam, water harvesting structure. This is a critical time state can build up rural infrastructure by speedily implementing MGNREGA.
You just spoke about the rural infrastructure, and if we talk about Prime Minister's Awas Yojana, Grameen, and the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, and the National Rural Livelihood Mission, how activities can be scaled up under these schemes?
One part of scheme is Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. If you look at Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana has been phenomenal success, and perhaps now right time is to use this scheme to extend it further. That means the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana has allowed almost it linked all the villages across the country. Roughly we have something around 6 to 7 lakh villages in the country. I can assure you at least 95% of the villages have these roads under the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, which was launched, if you remember, during the Prime Minister Vajpayee time. Pradhan Mantri, this housing scheme, that is also because we have a huge housing target to meet, and this time can be used also housing scheme to use up rural infrastructure, because road, housing and your MGNREGA, both can be used to regenerate rural economy, because these are the vital sectors. Because as UP government has also announced that they want to absorb a large chunk of labor who have come from those who used to work outside the state. They want to absorb. They don't want to allow people to migrate further. And these are the opportunities it provides. If state create infrastructure, housing, roads through Pradhan Mantri Sadak Yojana, and implementation of MGNREGA. So that will create a huge rural boost in the rural economy, as well as we call the rural demand also.
Government has been emphasizing that under MGNREGA scheme, the focus should be on water conservation, water recharge and irrigation work. So how can all these be converged with the schemes of Ministry of Jal Shakti and Department of Land Resources?
The important part of is that most of the, if I said earlier, out of 261 type of work which MGNREGA can approve, but 164 to agricultural sector. And this can be Jal Shakti, even the check dam scheme of Jal Shakti, creating small dams and all. This is a time to focus on regenerating our rural infrastructure. Also means regenerating our rural agriculture, especially those areas where Dr. UP Bihar, where irrigation facilities are low. This is the time Water Resources Ministry as well as the Rural Development Ministry, which runs the MGNREGA, has to combine their resources. Resources means both financial resources as well as physical resources, to merge schemes so that rural water supplies, rural ponds, rural earthen check dams can be regenerated, and water consumption is a key area. If we start with water, it will give water to the drinking as well as the agriculture purpose. These are the schemes can be merged. Both water resources and rural development has to now work in tandem to create rural infrastructure related to water.
Another major issue is related to pending wages and material dues under the schemes. So what are the efforts being made to ensure that workers don't get affected and wages are paid in time?
Yes, that is a very critical part of it. What happened, there is a process under NREGA for payment of the wages. Once the work is completed, it has to be approved by GE. Then it goes to the state NREGA council. Then the state informs the Ministry of Rural Development. So there is a little lag between the work completed and the wage paid. Although most of the NREGA workers have their bank accounts under Jan Dhan and program, this point of time, the focus should be on ensuring that once the work is completed, the wage must be transferred to the workers as soon as possible. This lag should be almost minimized or should be abolished at all.
So this brings us to the direct benefit transfer of funds, which has played a major role.
You must have known under that Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, which was announced in the end of March by Prime Minister. Each of the household that Ganjanpuna has getting, women-headed household is getting 500 rupees April, May, June. 500 rupees each month. That is directly transferred to the benefit account. If the NREGA wage also can be transferred immediately instead of delay, it will create a lot of people who have lost job in a bigger cities. They need now cash. NREGA wage has to be paid immediately so that it creates a purchasing power. Government has announced extra allocation of food grain, 10 kg per family instead of 5 kg under National Rural and Food Security Act. Now they're getting for 10 kgs, 5 kg free food grain. So that is also part of the package. So basically the government focus has been to provide food grain at the critical point of time. 10 kg per head, about 800 million people, 80 crore people, 10 kg per head per month for April, May, June. And also it may extend further. The government has been focused on three things basically. Providing jobs under MGNREGA so that livelihood issues are taken up, creating infrastructure through other schemes, and also to ensure that food grain is available to people at a very highly subsidized rate, very minimum rate basically. Rice is about 3 rupees a kg and the wheat is about 2 rupees a kg. So that also strategy has been to put money in their account, provide jobs under MGNREGA so that money also comes as they are earning as a wage. And as lastly, as a grain. So that is people are taken care of, those who have come back from the bigger cities, as well as those who are already there in the rural belt.
So this also brings us to another issue. At times people have been saying that all cash support schemes should be merged with the MGNREGA scheme. What's your view on this?
Government should think about it because there is a lot of debate about direct benefit transfer. My personal perception is that at least in the National Food Security Act, at least in the urban areas, those who get the benefit, they should get the direct benefit transfer. Because in the rural areas, you need to give some kind of grain, some kind of cash. Everything cannot be cash all the time. But government has to look at DBT as the way forward. And critical part of it is that currently we need to merge all our schemes. I'm sure the government is doing that basically, all our schemes. We cannot be working in silos. It has to be merged all the schemes and focus on rural infrastructure, water and road connectivity. DBT is a way forward, but complete DBT, I may not be agree with that.
Coming back to activities under the scheme, several activities have been integrated under this MGNREGA scheme, like cultivation of unused lands, rejuvenation of rivulets, all are yielding benefits. What more can be planned for productive engagement?
Productive engagement is basically, although there's a plethora of schemes, there are so many schemes that have been approved of NREGA. One should look at, what my suggestion would be to not to take up any rural road connectivity program under NREGA. Entire work should be focusing on, instead of 60%, it should be entire 100% work should be towards agriculture allied sector. As I said, it should be merging of all the schemes. Now the focus should be on the merger of schemes, focus on water conservation. What will happen is that this will automatically regenerate your water resources at the ground level. It will create irrigation facility and it will help agriculture as well. Once you have agriculture, the cost of the farmer cultivation will go down because the water is available. It has shown, many studies have shown, even the empirical studies have shown that how the migration to the Punjab has decreased because of the NREGA.
Yes, as we see that pre-monsoon work such as maintaining of ponds and digging of wells, and Bihar and Odisha is now looking at MGNREGA workers for flood management works. So all in all, we can hope that demands will be met and migrant workers suitably employed.
Suitably employed. Also, you must know Odisha and many other states have also announced additional wages under NREGA in the critical state, not all across country, critical part of the state. So that also states can also do to add on to what center gives to the state. And obviously, once you have a wage, one who has money at your account, again the rural activities will restart. And lastly, rejuvenation will happen because you focus on the water. Once you have a water rejuvenation, most of the problem will be solved.
If we also talk about the self-help groups which were formed under the National Rural Livelihood Mission, and they have also contributed a lot in addressing economic and social needs. In fact, these groups have emerged as community warriors by contributing in every possible way to contain the spread of COVID-19. What role do you foresee for collective action organized by these groups?
This group has been if you look at the SHG groups, has been forefront of sanitation drive, forefront of creating awareness about COVID in the rural belt. If you look at randomly, if you cross the rural belt, more awareness perhaps from the areas than in rural areas are very aware of COVID-19 and its impact on the people's lives. Many of the SHGs has been put in terms of making sanitizer, making some of the masks and all. Now the plan is to link it with the banks and link it with take up bigger economic activities, like to boost the rural economic activity at the ground level, creating, depending on which part of because every district is unique. They should take up in an economic activity in a bigger scale. There are NABARD programs, there are schemes, there are many banks also provide support to the SHGs. Idea is this has to be bigger business opportunity, as has happened in many of the states, like Gujarat has happened, in Maharashtra has happened. Many of the SHGs are in the forefront of carrying out economic activities, which is rural based. And in terms of economic benefits also, it's quite higher than any. That is why the SHG has to step up as a business model. They should come up with a new business model. That is why states and your state MSMEs departments should play a critical role. How the SHG should be supported in creating enterprises in rural level.
Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on COVID-19 updates with a focus on MGNREGA scheme. The participants were Sandeep Das, Rural Development Expert, and AIR Special Correspondent Mattu JP Singh. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our website newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.